Low in the upper 50s. Monday, partly sunny with a 20% chance of showers.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Hey, welcome. Cali Truck Stop Theater. Out here with another video. I just want to make a quick video. I had this thought in my head and decided I thought I'd make this little video about trying to pick the best parking spots when you're at the truck stop. So as I've said in some of my other videos, I enjoy driving at night. I prefer driving at night, and that's just because, well, first of all, one of the benefits is that there's less traffic out at night, so I can cover more ground traveling at night. It's just, and it's, for me, I think the focus for me is a lot better. I think a lot clearer. I don't know what it is, but just in the middle of the night, if I'm up in the middle of the night, I think about a lot of stuff, but mainly, yes, it's because there's not that much traffic out, and I cover more ground typically just by driving at night. But one of the other benefits is that once my shift is over, once my driving time is over, which is usually in the early morning, part. So let's say I start driving about maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night. I'll be pretty much done somewhere in between 10, 11, 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. The good thing about that is that when a lot of I like this term that one of the other truckers that I've seen on YouTube use. He calls these truckers that usually, or that prefer driving in the day, he call them solar powered truckers. So I like that term. But yeah, once these solar powered truckers get on the road, there's usually plenty of parking at whatever truck stop you go to, truck stop or rest stop. There's usually some parking spaces open. You don't have to fight for a parking space, because once the sun starts going down, all the chickens are starting to come into the chicken coop, and they're trying to find a place to rest. So one of the good things of driving at night is that once your shift is over in the morning, parking spaces start to open up, and this is really good to it's really good to actually check out the parking layout of each place that you go to. Typically, you want to find prime parking. For one reason, safety issues. You want to find parking where you are typically safe. If you can find a place that has a camera that looks down on you, that's good. If you have a place where it's well lit to where you can see what's going on around you, well, okay. In the daytime, you don't have to worry about the lights, but whether or not you're driving, or whether or not you're parked at the truck stop day or night, you want to make sure that the area is is typically well lit. If you're stopping at night, you want to try and find a place that's typically well lit. But you want to have all these other things in the mix too, to find what I would consider prime parking. So if you can find a place that they have closed circuit television or cameras looking out of the parking lot, you want to be in view of that camera. So if something happens to your truck, or if something, God forbid, something happens to you, it's caught on camera. So the other thing that I look for as well is how the layout of the parking lot is. What's the layout? In some of my successes and failures, let's go with some of the failures here. If you see parking, like if you see an actual parking stall close to the curb, like tucked away in the corners or something like that, I wouldn't recommend doing that, just because if other truckers are coming in the park, particularly at the nighttime, other truckers are coming in and they are trying to find a place to park, and there's no more actual parking stalls. A lot of them will have this creative parking where they will park anywhere that they can for the night. And so typically what you'll find is that if you can't find parking in one of the parking stalls, people will hug up next to a curb. And a lot of times some of these truckers, they don't know how long you've been there, or probably don't even care how long you've been there sitting in your stall. They're banking on that you have just gotten there and that you're going to be getting out of there in the morning along with them. So they'll hop a squat right there next to you and crowd you in. And that's really what I'm getting to, is that for prime parking, I wouldn't park anywhere to where you get crowded in. And I like parking in parking areas where I have a clean shot. If I can get a spot to where I can just pull straight out, that's the best for me, because I don't have to worry about checking my right and my left to see if I'm going to clip into the truck. None of that stuff. So I'm just going all over the place, but if you can gather what I'm saying, then just go along with it. But I'm gonna show you an example of what I consider pretty good parking, a pretty good parking location based upon this layout of the truck stop. I've picked up one of the last good spots in this lot. So when you come into a truck stop or any kind of parking area for trucks, as you come in, you want to get a good layout of how the parking is. Scan at what parking spots are open, how many are available, and where they are. And also take a look and see if you see other trucks that are just parking randomly anywhere. Sometimes, like I'm about to show you here, you got trucks that are parking next to the scales, which is a popular place for trucks to park when there's no parking. In some of these places, the truck stops will ban you from parking next to the scales, just because sometimes it creates a bunch of problems. But let's see here. Yeah, parking places where there's not gonna, where the traffic, where trucks coming in and out, the traffic is not too busy. The reason why I'm saying that is because you got all this traffic coming in, you got all these trucks going back and forth, and you're exposed. Your truck might be exposed to somebody coming by and clipping you. I've seen, also, you also want to find a place to where you have a lot of room in front of you, not only just for yourself but for other people, so that they can get out. Because I've seen trucks where the nose of the truck has been ripped off because somebody has not judged the space appropriately, where they're getting out, and they're, some of the things that that some truckers do get involved with is that there's not enough room. So like, let's say you pull out and you got maybe a wall in front of you or another row of trucks. So trying to turn and get out of your parking stall can be kind of tough. And there are some truckers that haven't paid attention to how they're pulling out, or they think that they have enough room and they just pull out and they make the turns and they don't check their mirrors, and they end up taking the nose off of somebody else's truck. Also, you want to find a place that has plenty of area in front of you so that you're not the one getting your nose ripped off. You know, anytime you get into an accident or a little fender bender or whatever, that's going to take away from your time, and that's going to take away from your money. So you want to be smart about where you park. So I'm about to show you this parking area here, and I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna let you see my view of where I parked. I'm parked on the outer edge. Well, most of the parking spaces are on the outer edge of this lot, but I decided to choose. I chose this spot because there's a lot of open space in front of me, and also I'm in front of the scales. So that's another thing too. If you can find a good spot that's let's say if you get into a place where it's really crowded, where the parking situation is super crazy, where what I mean by that is that trucks are piled in more than what the lot can handle, and you just got trucks everywhere. If you happen to find a spot that's big enough to where that you can park, and you have the scales right there in your sight, that's good, because that gives you a little bit of an escape, because typically you're not going to have that scale clogged up with trucks, and if there is, you know, they're going to be leaving pretty soon, so that leaves a lane open for you to escape. Now I say all this because if you have to get out, and let's say if you have to get out and you need to hightail it out of there, you want to be able to get out without causing a bunch of damage, if at all possible. So and on top of that, you want to make sure that when you leave, you ain't worried about what's in your way, who you're going to hit, anything like that. You got all this open space, and you can have a pretty successful, pretty high success rate of coming out of the truck stop, or starting your day, ending your day, or whatever. Starting your day off on a good foot. So I'm going to show you this parking layout, and then that'll be it. So now I can't really see what you're seeing right now because my particular phone won't allow me to switch camera views. So I have to turn my phone around. But as you can see, I have a lot of room right in front of me. I'm backed into a parking spot, and there may be some times where you might want to nose into the parking spot. With this particular spot, I could have just nosed into the parking spot, and one of the advantages of this is that if by chance somebody does happen to hit you, they're hitting the trailer and not your truck. So you can continue to keep on rolling, after you do your little accident report and things like that, if somebody was to hit you. But the other benefit to it is that most everybody is backed into their spots. Now you'll have other truck engines and these reefer trailers with all the the engine components up in the front. It can be quite noisy. So if you position yourself as far away as possible from from the engines, you'll have a quieter night, and also it keeps you a little further away from exhaust and all that kind of stuff, in case you got the windows or your vent on your truck open. you don't have to suffer but with all the exhaust all the time. So I hope this helped you out, and just keep in mind that if you can find a parking space where it's got plenty of space, it's well lit, and it has could have cameras or whatever looking down at the parking lot, so that you're safe. Also, every time that you're inside your truck, lock the doors. Lock the doors. Lock the doors. If you can, or what I recommend is that you get windshield visors and get window curtains and things like that to cover up your windows and stuff, just for a little bit of added security, in case anybody's outside your window. They're not looking at you and checking you out and watching what you're doing and things like that. And if they wanted to approach your truck, if you got your windows wide open, lights on, or what have you, they can anticipate they can see where you're at, and if they wanted to, they can do something. But if you block all that, with your curtains and things, it's hard to anticipate where you are in the truck or what you're doing, and so that might deter somebody from actually trying to plot against you. Also, lock your doors every time that you walk out of the truck. Never leave your door unlocked, because you never know who's out here watching you. And if they're watching you and they see that you don't lock your doors, they might wait for an opportunity when you're not paying attention, and they'll sneak up on your truck, jump in your truck, and take off with it. So always lock your doors, whether you're inside or outside. And that's it. So I thank you for watching. I hope that you all have had a wonderful and blessed day. I thank God for every day that I get to wake up. I thank Him for every day I get to complete, that I'm safe on the road, and I'm hoping and praying that you too are also safe whatever you're doing. So I'll talk to you next time. Later.